All right, been way too long since I done one of these. So got a new computer since the last tier list video, and honestly, for whatever reason, the software I use to capture these videos just kind of looks worse now, and I've tried to improve it. I even contacted XSplit through Twitter, and the advice they gave me was not even remotely helpful. So we're doing 90s movies tier list. I don't know what metric they use. I don't know if these are like top rated on IMDb, top rated on Letterboxd, box office gross, awards. I honestly don't know. But and I had to enlarge the fuck out of this thing to make it really viewable. And I imagine it might still look blurry to you guys, unfortunately. Hopefully you can see what all these are. I mean, I'm going to say the title of them anyway when I move them. But yeah, if anybody knows how to get this thing to look as good, if not better, than the previous tier ranking videos did, I'd greatly appreciate it. Please leave something in the comments. Also, I re-downloaded the software to record games that I use for Star Trek Online because I want to start putting out Star Trek Online videos again because, again, new computer, and the game looks so good. There were details from certain like missions and planets that I had just not seen before on the older one. But unfortunately, when I went to re-download the software that I'd been using to record those STO videos up to the most recent one with the USS Neanal doing the 12th anniversary TFO event with Janeway and Mirror Tilly and all that, it's just I do not know how to work with it. It's like all the stuff from the previous version that was very user friendly is gone, and now I have no fucking clue what I'm doing. Hopefully, I'll figure it out and I can get you a new Star Trek Online video soon. Anyway, enough of the rambling. Let's just go ahead and do this 90s movie tier list. You know how this works by now. I got S, A, B, C, and F. It had D in there, but I went ahead and deleted that since D doesn't exist on American report cards. Yes, it does. D absolutely exists on report cards. What the fuck was I thinking, and why did I not catch it until I was editing? And then there's unseen, which means I just haven't seen it. Although I'm not going to change the name of it, even though I have the option to do so. But I'm also going to put ones in there that I've seen, but it has been so long that I barely remember anything about it. So if I haven't seen it, or if I've seen it but don't remember anything about it, it goes in unseen. And as per usual, my nose starts running the second I hit record. My body hates me. All right, so I don't always do them the same way. Let's see, how did I do it on the last video? I don't even remember. You know what? Let's start from the bottom here. I don't think I've done it this way. We're doing the items from the bottom. I pointed at the screen for some stupid reason. I don't know why. You can't see my hands. Start from the bottom and work our way up. And we start off with a great one. Wayne's World. Love this movie. It is so funny. Like, the vast majority of the jokes hold up really well. The soundtrack is great. It's it's got really great satirical elements on top of everything else. It could have just been a one note movie, but it wasn't. They put effort into this. They had an actual story with characters and arcs and shit. And honestly, to this day, I still love the line. It's just like, he's nobody's friend. If he was an ice cream flavor, he'd be pralines and dick. And then the Scooby Doo endings with the doodle doo doodle doo doodle doo. Yeah, this is one of the movies on this list I got to see in theaters, and I'm really glad. Wayne's World S tier definitely. Twister also got a great soundtrack. Actually, I've listened to the soundtrack album more times than I've seen the movie, and yes, there is a soundtrack album. Story wise, it's fairly basic and kind of silly. The act, there's no bad acting, but there's like nothing like spectacular or anything. But it's fun. It's a fun movie. If you can just like turn off your brain for a few minutes and just roll with it, you can have a lot of fun with this one. So I'm going to put that in the A tier. That one was also a good one to see on the big screen. Truman Show. I'm not big on Jim Carrey these days, but there's no denying that this was an incredibly well made movie. I think it's actually kind of prescient in some ways. It's got solid acting. I don't remember the soundtrack too much. Can't really say anything about the score, but it's pretty well made. I didn't get to see it in theaters. I saw it years later. I think like the movie was more than 10 years old by the time I got to it. But it's a good movie. So yeah, I'm going to put that one in the A tier as well. The original Toy Story. It's pretty good. I like third one. The third Toy Story is my favorite of all of those, but the first one's still pretty good. I should say that the third Toy Story is my favorite of just all the Toy Story movies. But three wouldn't exist without one, and one's got some great lines, and the animation was groundbreaking at the time, and it's easily one of the best things Tim Allen ever did. Parts of it haven't aged well. Some of that is not helped by the fact that like the guy whose name comes first in the writing credits is a complete monster. But I don't think it's a bad movie at all. Really, I don't. It doesn't bring me quite as much enjoyment as Twister, I think. And I don't know if the story's quite as good as the Truman Show. I mean, maybe it's. This might be a hot take. Man, I don't. I don't. Okay, no, I'm sorry. No, I cannot have Twister in the A tier and then Toy Story in the B tier. I just cannot do that. So both of them are going to be in the A tier. Titanic. It's a well-made movie. The set design is easily some of the best I've seen in any film, even now. The editing's tight. The sound work. This is on a purely technical level. Like again, I mentioned editing and the sound design, lighting, costuming, stage direction, all that stuff that everybody ignores at the Oscars. They go to the bathroom when they give out that part if they don't go during the commercials. All that really technical stuff. Titanic is on that level. Titanic is an amazing movie. And I don't think there's any bad acting in it. But it just doesn't really grab me. The story doesn't do that much for me. Not a big fan. I can't I mean, I love James Horner, but I can't believe that this is the one they gave him the Oscar for because, like, very little of the music from this movie sticks out in my head, especially when you compare it to his work on, like, Aliens or Star Trek to the Wrath of Khan or hell, even Krull. And you know that I don't like Krull. But it's a well-made movie, but it's not a good movie. I think it's worth watching, like, if you're interested in becoming a filmmaker. I think this is a movie that's worth showing, like, in film school and whatnot, but I can't call it good. But I mean, I don't really necessarily hate it either. And I also think that some of the hatred the movie got in its initial backlash when it first became popular was due to the fact that so much of its audience was young women. So, yeah, I'm going to put it in the C tier. I don't like it, but I don't dislike it enough to put it in F. Putting it in F just feels mean, especially, again, as I say, on a technical level. It is a really well-made movie. Probably on that level, in terms of, competence, is probably... it could be argued to be the best movie on this list on that level. But it just didn't grab me. Matrix. I mean, it's iconic for a reason. It's a great action movie. I think some of the philosophy in it is a little on the pedestrian side. It's not quite as deep as people think it is, although compared to much of its contemporaries, it kind of is. So, I mean, I'm not going to knock it too much for that. And you know what? I don't even think Reloaded is that bad. Revolutions definitely sucked. But although, to be fair to Revolutions, I think if it had been like a trilogy of novels and it had ended like the exact same way, it would have been better received. But novels and movies are different mediums, so what works for one doesn't automatically work for the other. I mean, there are some things you can get away with in a book or a movie and have it work either way, but yeah, I think The Matrix is just a great watch. It's got a great soundtrack. I know I'm bringing up soundtracks a lot. The acting's solid, including from Keanu. I think he's way better than people give him credit for. A great supporting cast. I mean, even the I mean, there are characters in this movie who hardly do anything who still manage to leave an impression. That's how well put together all of this is. I think it's kind of been downhill from the Wachowskis since then, to be honest. I did not like Cloud Atlas at all. Just, ugh. I would go so far as to say I actually kind of hate Cloud Atlas. But The Matrix is pretty damn good, and you know what? Yeah, even though my opinion on it has lessened a little bit over the years, I'm still going to put it in S tier just because of how much fun it is. So, yeah, S tier. And, well, you already knew that. I put it there before I even finished talking. The Mask, eh, I don't enjoy The Mask as much as I did when I was younger, but I still think it's pretty good overall. I think it's easily one of the better comic book adaptations out there. I think the character in the comics was actually a lot darker. Not doing that for the movie was the right call, though. One of Jim Carrey's better performances. Cameron Diaz is pretty good in it. The special effects are pretty good. A lot of it still holds up, I think. So yeah, but I don't love it. So I mean, I don't love it as much as an adult as I did was I was like a mid-teens, I guess, when this movie came out. It's still pretty good, but I'm just gonna go ahead and put it in the B tier there. The Craft. Okay. Speaking of soundtracks, I have heard the soundtrack for this movie several times. It has a great soundtrack. As such, it might shock you to learn that I've never actually seen it. I know, I know. I'm not entirely sure how that happened either. I probably should do that at some point. I don't know. We'll see. Phantom Menace. Well, yeah, 1999, so it counts. You know what? This one might be a hot take, but I don't actually think it's that bad. I mean, it's not good, definitely. But I'm putting it in B tier because of a few things. I think a lot of the actors did the best they could with the scripts they were given. Soundtrack is pretty good. Duel of the Fates is easily one of the best pieces of music from any of the Star Wars movies, and I'm including the original trilogy in that. And you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and say it. The plot focusing so much on like trade policy and stuff like that, I don't think that's an inherently bad thing. I think it could have been executed better, but I mean, there are some people saying it's like, oh, it's about trade disputes. That's stupid. It's like you can do a good movie about just about anything if you put the effort into it. And I'm not against digging a little deeper into the political aspects of the Star Wars universe. Some of the better books did that. I mean, was it the best idea to do that for the first prequel movie and the first theatrical release in almost 20 years? Probably not. But I don't think that's necessarily a knock against the movie on its own. And you know what? I enjoyed the pod racing sequence. Does it go on a little too long? Sure. Would I cut anything from it, though? Not really. No, I wouldn't. Controversial take, I imagine, but there you go. Phantom Menace, B tier. Stuart Little? Okay, I know I've seen this, but I don't really remember. Yeah, The fact that I've seen it is about the only thing that I remember about it. And actually, now come to think of it, I don't know. Did I see the whole thing, or did I just like happen to catch the second half one day? That's the other thing I'm not entirely sure about. Actually, you know what? This video might run a. I'm already worried this is going to run a little long since I went on the whole thing about the new computer. So I'm just going to go ahead and skim through these real quick and just go ahead and get all the ones that I've either seen or don't remember very well up there. And that's going to include Seven. Never saw it. Pocahontas, never saw it. The Lindsay Lohan version of The Parent Trap, never saw it. Newsies, never saw it. Mulan, never saw it. Yeah, Little Rascals. I did see it, but I think I remember maybe one scene from the movie and not. And yeah, I remember like one scene, and I think it's from the very end. So yeah, I'm just gonna no. Stephen King's It. I think I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I've not seen the whole thing. Iron Giant, same deal. Yeah, I know. Hocus Pocus, didn't see it. Hercules. I've seen more of the memes than I've seen of the movie. A Goofy movie. Oh, I'm probably gonna get dragged all to hell for that one. Okay, I have seen Crybaby. I remember seeing Crybaby, but like the opening of the movie, the opening scene, I think like before the title character even shows up, is like all I can remember of it. So I'm gonna put that there. Clueless. I have not seen Clueless. Yeah, just go ahead and drag me to hell right now for that one. 10 Things I Hate About You, never saw it. And the first live action 101 Dalmatians, never saw it. Okay, so all that out of the way, and frankly, I probably should have done that sooner. And now that my opinion is considered completely invalid because I've never seen the Iron Giant or Hocus Pocus or a Goofy movie, Space Jam it is should not be as good as it is. It shouldn't. Everything about this movie, just you hear about it in a vacuum and you can't imagine it possibly being fun. But it actually is. It is actually a fun movie. I enjoy watching it. I've watched it more than once. And I do this knowing full well that it is just an extra long commercial. I know this and I don't care. It works in spite of that. Fight me, you know? Just drag me to hell and back in the comments. I don't care. It's good for engagement. I mean, the soundtrack's pretty great too. Kind of hard to listen to nowadays, thanks to R. fucking Kelly. But you know, it's enjoyable. It's quotable. It's dumb, but in a fun way. And honestly, I think it actually would have been worse if it had tried to be more sincere. You know, it's a commercial. It's just a better than average commercial. There you go. Sister Act, it's fine. It's fine. It's funny. Never saw the sequel, and not sure it needed one to be honest, but it was pretty fun. Get a great supporting turn from Kathy and Jimmy. I think it was one of the first things I ever saw her in. She was I actually kind of liked her more than Whoopi Goldberg's character, even though Whoopi was the lead in it. And yeah, I know I harp on soundtracks a lot, but Sister Act just does not work without the music. So it's fun. I enjoy it, and the scene like towards the end when you got all those nuns running through a casino. That's just funny. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna put that up higher. I'm gonna put that in the A tier. It's been a long time, so I should watch that again. It's been like 10 years at least, maybe even longer. Silence of the Lambs. Okay. Acknowledging the problematic aspects of it, it's still a really well made movie. Just great atmosphere, great directing, great acting, a memorable villain. Anthony Hopkins was just at his possibly at his best. Jodie Foster was great. I think that a lot of the supporting cast actually doesn't get enough credit for this movie. But yeah, again, acknowledging the problematic aspects, I still think Silence of the Lambs on its own is a good movie. You just got to go in knowing that parts of it are going to feel a little cringy, especially if you're a member of the gender nonconforming community. But I mean, credit to the movie, I guess, where it says that Bill is not actually trans. He just thinks he is. I forget exactly. It's been a while. I forget it. I forget exactly how they explain it. It's been a while since I've seen the movie, but it's like, I mean, I guess it's better than just implying that he was, but I mean, I do still think it is a good movie, though. So, a really good movie. It's one of the best horror movies I've ever seen. I mean, it is one of the very few horror movies to ever get nominated for Best Picture. It's like It and Get Out, and those are the only ones I can think of off the top of my head, so there you go. Speaking of horror movies, Scream? I like it. I think 2 and 4 are actually better overall. 3 was fine, I guess. Haven't seen the new one yet, no comment. I think some of it hasn't aged too well. And some of it is very 90s. I think the biggest problem is that it just sort of conflates. There are parts of it that conflate horror as a whole with the slasher genre in specifics. I think Leon Thomas did a video about that, explaining it's like all this stuff he says about that Randy says about rules to survive a horror movie, and it's really more about surviving a slasher movie than about a horror movie. And slashers are a subgenre of horror, but I mean, although. Okay, you know what? I'm going to bump it up to A. I was going to put it in B, but I'm going to bump it up to A because this was the movie that really got me into horror in the first place. There are a lot of like the iconic horror movies and slasher films, of course, like Friday the 13th, the original Halloween, and all that. I wouldn't have watched them if I hadn't seen Scream. So, yeah, okay. You know what? Yeah, A tier. That bumps it up. Edward Scissorhands, you know what? It's still a good movie, but it's also dampened a little bit because trying to figure out how to express this. Actually, you know what? Nah. Despite some of the problems I have with the cast and the director, I think maybe Tim Burton should have retired a while ago, to be perfectly honest. I still think it's a really good-looking movie, and it's got one of the... I think it was Vincent Price's last performance, too, which is really sad. And, yeah, yeah, it's a little hot topic-y, sure, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Just A tier. I'm not going to dwell on it. Sandlot... quotable is not necessarily the same thing as good, but also, yeah, I'm just not a big baseball guy, so I was probably not the target audience for this movie. I mean, I didn't mind watching it, and like I said, it's quotable. It's got a lot of great lines, but also the great lines are really about the only thing about it that stand out for me. So, I mean, I'm not gonna put it in F tier. No, just no. I don't. I don't think there's anything about the movie that would justify an F tier slot. No way. But I gotta leave it at C because again, apart from some great one-liners, there's just nothing about it that really sticks with me. So let's see here. The Baz Luhrmann, Romeo and Juliet. This might actually surprise everyone, given that I think I've said elsewhere that I'm actually not a fan of the original play at all. I consider it to be one of Shakespeare's weaker efforts. But, A tier. I mean, Baz Luhrmann got me to care about a story I just don't like that much in this adaptation. I think a lot of that is to do with the visuals and I know I bring up soundtracks a lot, but I'm going to do it again. Make it a drinking game here. The soundtrack is fantastic. Uh, the supporting cast, including Harold Perrineau and John Leguizamo, are fantastic. It takes a lot for an adaptation of a story that I didn't like that much in the first place to get me so invested that I not only enjoy watching it, I go back and watch it again. So hell yeah, I'm gonna put. Actually, no, I'm bumping it up. Screw it. Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet, S tier. There you go. Robin Hood Men in Tights. Okay. Yeah, a lot of people don't like this one. A lot of people consider it to be one of Mel Brooks's weaker efforts. I disagree, actually. I enjoy this one a lot. It's certainly better than Dracula Dead and Loving It. Dracula Dead and Loving It was the worst vampire comedy I ever saw until I had to watch The Vampire Happening for my first Shameless Cash Grab back in season 3. Ugh. Vampire Happening made Dracula Dead and Loving It look like What We Do in the Shadows. It was that unfunny. But Robin Hood Men in Tights, Carrie Elwes was good in the lead. I think what I like about Cary Elwes is that you could have believed him as like a straightforward Robin Hood and like a straightforward adaptation as opposed to a parody movie. And the cameo from Patrick Stewart, and it was just a funny movie. I actually got to see it in theaters with family, so there's a bit of a nostalgia aspect to it. It's not Mel Brooks's best by any stretch of the imagination, but it had some great lines. It had couple funny musical numbers. It pokes fun at the Robin Hood mythos in a way it's not super mean. It doesn't try to like make you feel like you're an idiot if you enjoy Robin Hood stories or anything like that. So yeah, I honestly think Men in Tights is a genuinely funny movie. So I'm putting that one in the A tier. Pulp Fiction. Okay. 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 Tarantino's an asshole, and a lot of his stuff is overrated, I'll be honest. But that said, I I do still kind of like Pulp Fiction. I'm probably not going to watch it again anytime soon, but it is honestly, I think, like a masterwork in non-linear storytelling. It's got some really memorable performances, and and when I say a masterclass in nonlinear storytelling, years ago, someone took Pulp Fiction and they re-edited it to put everything in chronological order, and it just kind of sucked. I mean, it was as bad, if not worse, than that time someone tried to do that uh, with Godfather 1 and 2, where they like took all the flashback scenes from Godfather 2 and then put them earlier, and then did Godfather 1 and then did the rest of Godfather 2, and it was just not good, like, at all. So yeah, for all the shit that Quentin Tarantino deservedly gets, I will never watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That just sounds fucking horrible. And I'm glad he's not going to get to do a Star Trek movie. I do think Pulp Fiction works. Princess Mononoke. Oh God, Princess Mononoke. Sorry, if it looked like I was putting it in unseen there, it's just because uh, moving things around when I have the screen this enlarged is a real pain in the ass. That it is so good. What can I say about it that hasn't been said by people way smarter and funnier than I am? Just it is just absolutely brilliant. It is gorgeous, and I mean, in terms of the dub, it was probably like the first truly great English dub of a Japanese movie. I mean, they actually brought in real actors and put in effort into the translation, not trying to just do as close to one as they could get. There was they like I said, they just put effort into it, and that helps elevate it. So yeah, A tier, absolutely. Uh, I haven't seen it in a while though. I should see it again at some point. I have the Blu-ray. I don't know why I just haven't cracked it open at any point. Oh, you know what? Fuck it. S tier. I'm gonna bump it up to S tier. I don't even know why I didn't just start with S tier on Princess Mononoke. What was I thinking? Uh, Yeah, speaking of S tier, yeah, Nightmare Before Christmas. Just just wonderful to look at. Great animation, great story. The great songs. Of course, it's a musical. You have to have great songs. I think some of its fans can be a little on the annoying side sometimes, but other than that, I have no particular complaints about Nightmare Before Christmas. So yeah, I'm putting that one in the S tier as well. Nothing in the F tier yet. Oh, although, let's see, let's just give it a quick glance over. Yeah, we're getting there. We are getting there. My Girl. A movie that traumatized a generation. And unfortunately, I just don't. It's, again, much like Titanic, I think it's a well made movie. I'm just not sure it's necessarily a good movie. Though, admittedly, I might have been a little old for it when it came out. I don't think I was, though. Maybe I just felt like it. But yeah, I'm putting that one in C tier. The original Men in Black. A lot of fun, memorable villain. Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith played off each other really well. It's a, it's a fun summer blockbuster action kind of movie, and it's a and a surprisingly pro immigration stance from any mainstream movie these days. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Good luck try if Men in Black had wasn't already a pre-existing film franchise. Good luck trying to make that in like the 2010s and 2020s without the performative outrage industrial complex on YouTube complaining about white genocide or some bullshit like that. Okay, Matilda. It is a good. I like it, but not as much as everybody else seems to. I don't have anything bad to say about it, but it's like it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's B tier. That one is probably the one that's going to get me canceled on this. I do enjoy following Mara Wilson on Twitter. She has a lot of smart stuff to say. Well, most of the time. Every once in a while, she gets a bad take out there. But hey, nobody's perfect. Okay, I will say I absolutely loved the song at the end of the movie by I think it was by Rusted Root. I absolutely loved that. That's the best part of the movie, personally. Just personally, for my opinion. And again, not that anything before it was bad. I just liked the closing song best. That's not a knock against the film at all. It's just it's fine. It's a fine movie. It's fine. I'd watch it again. It's not something I'd go out of my way to watch again, but like, say if I was over at a friend's house and they said, "Hey, want to watch Matilda?" I'd be like, "Hey, sure." Lion King. Haven't really watched. The biggest problem I have with Lion King, honestly, it's that I just don't like Matthew Broderick very much anymore. The more I learn about him, it's just like, oh god, this guy's an ass. Uh, and so him playing the adult Simba is definitely a knock against the film. Although it's really the only knock I would say. I think otherwise everything works pretty good. The animation, the music, the voice acting. B tier's a little low. I'll put it in the A tier. Jurassic Park, the first one, the best one. Probably should have been the only one. Better than the book, in my opinion. Especially since Michael Crichton was kind of a douchebag. It was like one of the last books he wrote before he died. He was like some it was climate change denial nonsense, and he named a character after one of his critics and made that guy a pedophile with a tiny penis. So he was also petty on top of everything else. But the movie itself, just oh god, the music, the practical effects, the supporting cast. It's got a lot of great one-liners. It is a great movie. And if you were lucky enough to see that bad boy on the big screen, especially if you were like as young as I was, because I think I wasn't. When did the first Jurassic Park come out? Oh wow. Yeah, it's been like 30 years, so I would have been like 9 or 10, maybe even maybe 11. Probably not 11. Was I living in Colorado? Yeah, I probably would have been like 10 or 11. Just amazing, just a great movie. Less great, but not bad. Jumanji's fine. It's fine. It's just fine. That's really all I got to say for it. Is it's fine. Just okay. The one point I will give Disney's Hunchback of Notre Dame, fucking amazing villain song. The Hellfire is one of like the best villain songs in the Disney canon. There are movies that I like more than Hunchback of Notre Dame, whose villain song isn't as good as Hunchback of Notre Dame. I mean, like, well, Be Prepared from The Lion King. Be Prepared, good song, not as good as Hellfire. However, the movie as a whole, it's kind of shit. So I am putting it in the F tier. Fuck those stupid gargoyles. Just, no. No. I mean, it was from the Disney Renaissance, so the animation looked great, but it was just not enough to detract from the fact that the gargoyles were annoying, and very few of the songs left any real impression, again, apart from the amazing villain song. But just, yeah, I didn't want to go see it in theaters. I only went because I kind of had to, and I honestly would have rather been doing just about anything else. I know Dad enjoyed it, but I did not. Hook, I think, actually gets kind of a bad rap. I think it's better than people give it credit for. I certainly enjoyed it. It's been a while since I've seen it. I don't know if I would still feel that way. So that's why I'm not gonna put it in the A tier. I'll put it in B, but with an asterisk. And that asterisk being that if I watch it again in the near future and it is as good as I remember it, I would happily move it back up to A, because I think a lot of people are just unfair to this movie. And I mean, I've heard some of the complaints, and I don't know, they just don't ring true to me. I really don't. If I were like a professional critic, I could probably explain exactly why that is. But as it stands, I have much fonder memories of this movie than apparently most people. The original Home Alone, it's a classic for a reason. Funny as hell. Look, when you're young, you don't realize that, like, the burglars should have been fucking dead at several points during the movie. Or that Kevin's parents should have been, like, at the very least, arrested for child neglect. But, it's a fun comedy. If you don't think about it too hard, it's a lot of fun. So, Good Will Hunting. I remember liking it, but I was also a little younger at the time. I'm not sure I would like it still if I were to watch it again. Um, yeah, thinking about it, there are parts of it that I'm remembering some scenes, and I'm thinking, like, yeah, I mean, I liked it at the time, but I've seen so many movies do similar things much better since then. I don't have anything particularly bad to say about it, but I also don't think I like it as much as I did when I first saw it. So, yeah, C tier on that one. Ooh, Forrest Gump. When I was young, I absolutely loved that movie. I watched it several times. I cried at the end every time. However, as you probably gathered from the noises I make when I said the title, it is going in the F tier because holy fuck, does that movie not hold up? Honestly, I am not even going to go into why this movie just does not work for me anymore, especially as I've gotten more politically aware. I just think it is mildly ironic that some of the most liberal people in Hollywood and I will say accidentally, in all fairness, accidentally made probably one of the most conservative movies of all time. Renegade Cut did a whole thing about that. I'll try to remember to link to that in the show notes. I think that's worth watching because yeah, it is a very conservative movie. And if you are a conservative, yeah, I have bad news for you. You're going to hate my channel, so you might want to bow out now. You know, you might like it, although then again, it has Tom Hanks, and I'm pretty sure at this point you're convinced that he, like, drinks the blood of kidnapped children because you're an idiot. So, yeah, Forrest Gump is in the F tier. I mean, I think the one positive thing I can say about Forrest Gump at this point is that a lot of the younger people who saw it were introduced to some great songs from the 60s and 70s that they might not have heard otherwise. So, Flubber's next, and I mean, it's like eh, meh, totally meh. So that one's going in the C tier. But it's probably not great that all this Robin Williams stuff is like going in the middle. Don't worry. There's at least one on here that's going up higher. But okay, here's one. Here's a take that's going to be controversial. The first live action Flintstones movie. I actually like it. It's not S tier, but I enjoy it. I think the cast was actually pretty much pitch perfect with John Goodman, Rick Moranis, Rosie O'Donnell, and Elizabeth Perkins. I think Kyle MacLachlan and Halle Berry made for great villains. I love the Dick-to-Bird. Even now, I still love the Dick-to-Bird. Oh god, and the bit from Dan Florek at the end where he names concrete after his daughter. It's that I don't know why I find that joke so amusing, but I do even now, like over 20 years since I've seen the movie, and that joke still lives rent free in my head. I, I think I think it is as good as a live action version of the Flintstones could possibly be. I don't think it would be possible to do one that's better. And that was definitely a lightning in the bottle thing because, God, just the commercials for the second one, which was a prequel, but which is itself a problem. Just the commercials had me going, ew, no. And I think they made a third one. I don't know. And I don't care. Don't tell me if I'm correct. I would actually prefer to be wrong about that. Ooh, Fight Club. Oh, talk about I think yeah, talk about a good movie with a shitty fan base. Do I want to put it in A or B? I'm kind of torn on that. Uh, okay, you know what? I'm going to put it in B, but only because I think. Mm, yeah, I'll admit, I think even I kind of fell for into the trap of thinking that the movie was advocating for something that it was actually saying was bad. Not as much as my grandma Judy did. She was very much on board with the, blowing up buildings thing at the end. But I probably shouldn't mention that. Well, I mean, she's dead. She's not going to care that I said it, and the FBI can't get her. So, yeah, I'm putting it in B tier, although that is with the full acknowledgement that it going into B tier instead of A tier has as much, if not more, to do with how just massively idiotic its fan base has been more than the movie itself. I forget who it was who said it, but I agree with it completely. If someone just says they like Fight Club, that's fine. It's like someone. This refers to an OkCupid profile. If someone says they like Fight Club, that's fine. If they say it's their favorite movie, that's a red flag. Face Off. John Woo directed, starring John Travolta, Nicolas Cage. It's fun. It's stupid, but again, it's stupid in a fun way. It just leans into the ridiculousness of its premise. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but it takes itself seriously enough to sell it. The action scenes are tight. I don't like it enough to put it in the S tier, but I'm definitely putting it in the A tier. Dumb and Dumber. Eh, I liked it when I was a kid, but now, I mean, I guess there are a few jokes that still land, but some of it's just kind of like, people thought this was. Why did we think this was funny? I mean, it definitely could be a lot worse. That's for sure. Especially considering another movie we got coming up. But eh, yeah, just I think it's funnier when you're like a teenager. It's less so when you're an adult. That's my opinion. Yeah, it's C tier. I'm gonna put that in the C tier. Yeah, because I mean, not even despite not liking it as much as I did when I was younger, I would honestly just feel like putting it in F wouldn't be entirely fair because I don't think it's aged that badly. Unlike Mrs. Doubtfire. I am so sorry, guys. F tier. Just I loved it at the time, but looking back, it's just like you realize you know I mean the guy is basically breaking the law to stalk his family, and effectively assaults his ex-wife's boyfriend on numerous occasions, and it's I don't. Mm, okay, no. Ah, fuck, no. So I'm sorry, no. I can't put it in F tier because there are parts of it that work. Okay, no. Everything that's good about this movie comes from Robin Williams' performance. Despite all the problems with the story, despite the fact that characters make bad choices in it, I can't quite bring myself to hate it. But I can't say I like it either, especially as a much older man now than I was when I saw it. God, okay, I'm tempted to put it into F, but I'm going to be kind and put it in C tier. Yeah, C tier for Mrs. Doubtfire. A Bug's Life. Uh, okay, I'm going to be fair. Pretty much the only real problem I have with Bug's Life is the fact that Kevin Spacey is the guy who voices the villain. And it's like, I don't know if Disney was really aware of just what a fucking creep he was. Like, I mean, a creep in real life. He'd played some pretty creepy roles in film up to that point. Yeah, and I mean, it's got. I think it was like the last thing that Jonathan Harris from the original Lost in Space did, and they even got in a reference to it with the ooh, the pain, the pain. Yeah, yeah, okay, I'm gonna put Bug's Life in the B tier. No pun intended, especially since I don't think there were actually any bees in the movie. It's been a while since I've seen it. Billy Madison, it's fine. Not not Sandler's best, not his worst either. I think. I mean, I think personally, with a couple of exceptions like Punch Drunk Love and Funny People, and I do want to see Uncut Gems, but I haven't yet. But personally, I think his stuff's been, again, with the exceptions I just mentioned, been pretty downhill since The Waterboy. I think Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, and The Waterboy, despite their despite some of the stuff that hasn't aged well and some stuff that probably wasn't that funny in the first place, it's definitely amongst his best work. And I do kind of like the bit where it's like, you actually don't see that very much in modern comedies, which is nice, where the character despite being kind of a douchebag, is not so much of a douchebag that he's willing to just stand there while someone is being a misogynistic schmuck right in front of him. When like the bus drivers like claim that he's had sex with the teacher, and Adam Sandler's just like, no, you didn't. And like, the bus driver's being, specifically he's saying it because the bus driver's being really gross about it, and that is a good scene, probably. And actually, come to think of it, I don't think I appreciated that scene enough when the movie originally came out. It was only later that I was just like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I dig that. Okay, actually, you know what, I think The Wedding Singer was pretty good too. Was that one before or after The Waterboy? Anyway. Big Lebowski. Yeah, I need to give this one a second chance, I think, because I did not like it when I saw it. But the more the more I think about it, the more I think maybe I was unfair, and also some of the stuff from it that's become emetic is some of the scenes from it that have become emetic are pretty funny, and I'm wondering maybe, yeah, okay, I'm gonna give this movie a second chance at some point. I don't know when. Hopefully, hopefully before I die. So, so I won't. I don't have a. Uh, yeah, I do need to see this one again. I'm just not gonna put it on the thing here. I'm just gonna leave it off because I want to see it again before I make any further judgments. So, Aladdin. Disney's Aladdin. Honestly, like, probably the worst jokes from it were actually cut from the home video release. So, as it stands, when you're seeing it, you're seeing the best version of the movie, and oh god, S tier, absolutely S tier. It is so funny. The animation is great to look at. The so many of the songs are memorable. You got an iconic, if unfortunately queer coded villain. It's probably the best thing Gilbert Gottfried's ever done, playing Iago. Yeah, just Aladdin's just a great movie, and Rob. Oh God, there are just so many hours of recordings of Robin Williams as the genie we will probably never get to hear, and that is so tragic. But what we did get to see was totally worth it. Get Adam's Family movie. God, just how can I not put this in the S tier? Just Gomez and Morticia are goals. And Christina Ricci's great as Wednesday. Christopher Lloyd is great as Fester. It's just it. Oh yeah, this is just. I enjoy this movie, and even the stupid song that MC Hammer did for it is a lot of fun too. If you don't, I mean, you just gotta kind of roll with it. You just, yeah, Adam's Family, great movie. Oh, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, F tier, and if you don't know why it's in the F tier, you don't know me very well. I mean, I will freely admit that there are still some jokes in the movie from before that scene, and I think you know the one I'm talking about, that are genuinely funny. It is just aged so poorly as to kind of retroactively ruin some of those jokes. Ace Ventura is a movie that I think could stand to have a reboot. They just need to completely change the villain's backstory and possibly motivations, but definitely the backstory. And you could keep some of the jokes from the original that didn't age too poorly in as nods to the original. I would be okay with that. And last but not least, The Sixth Sense. The Sixth Sense to me serves as an example of a movie that kind of fails at what it intended to do, or at least in my opinion, but is still good regardless, or like it succeeds at something else. And As a horror movie, I don't know if The Sixth Sense entirely works. I never felt like particularly tense during anything. I don't remember there even being much in the way of jump scares, which is actually probably a good thing. But I mean, I did still really like it. Though. I think as a drama that just happens to have some supernatural elements to it, I do think it's actually really good. And I think it's actually, yeah, I think it still works even if you know the twist. It's probably, I mean, you can only see a movie for the first time once, and I do think it's better to see it the first time not knowing that. But like the second or third time, it doesn't diminish it at all. And honestly, I think this was honestly as good as M. Night Shyamalan got. I think he peaked early, which is really unfortunate. I mean, I liked Unbreakable, and here's a controversial take. I actually liked Lady in the Water. I can practically hear you unsubscribing for that, but I stand by it. But Sixth Sense, yeah, is pretty. Yeah, I think it was pretty damn good. I mean, I don't think it was as scary as it was meant to be, but I think despite that, it's still a good movie. And I think it's rare for, a director to maybe fail at something that they're trying to do, only for it to work anyway. So I think, and why can't I come up with any other examples? I'm trying to think of other examples of a movie that failed at being one thing but succeeded at being something else, and I'm getting nothing. Fuck. I'm probably going to think of several after I finish recording, or possibly even after I've posted this to the channel. But yeah, but as it stands, The Sixth Sense for me is like kind of like the uber example of that. So yeah, I have no problem putting that one in the A tier. So yeah, here's all of the movies on this, all the movies from the '90s movie tier list ranked, except for The Big Lebowski because I want to give that one a second chance. And yeah, pretty good, I'd say. Mostly S and A tier. A tier definitely dominates here, getting 2 rows, unlike the others. Although actually, Unseen also gets 2 rows. Unseen or Unremembered also gets 2 rows. Surprisingly few Fs, I'd say. There was one that was almost an F, but I couldn't quite bring myself to do it. But all right, here we go. And if I hope this doesn't look too ugly when I post it, because if it looks as bad as I'm afraid it will, this could end up being the last tier ranking video. Or at the very least, the last one that doesn't come with like pictures, because there are some tier ranking videos where like the squares or whatever, it's mostly text. And if that's blurry, then that is just not going to work for this show because I'd kind of like you people to at least have a chance of reading it. But yeah, okay. Bowing out now. I'm getting a little thirsty, and if I don't turn the air filter back on soon, I'm probably going to get chewed out. Have fun, stay safe.